What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. I'm going to keep this simple. Our tendency as humans to want to always have a problem to solve is quite possibly one of our greatest assets. But the problem with always having and looking for problems to solve is that there is a bit of contradictory motivation there. Almost like when someone whose livelihood depends on the continuation of a problem, they are essentially incentivized for that problem to go on longer. Like for hired military who have a moral hazard because, in a sense, when the war ends, they lose their job. So they're incentivized for the war to continue. Or when you've hired somebody to take care of somebody ill, for example, if the person who's ill gets better and no longer needs you, meaning if you've done your job well enough to nurse them back to health, then your reward is unemployment. So you can understand how the part of us who mainly shines when it has a problem to solve tends to want to have problems to solve at all times. And when it doesn't have that, it creates problems or stretches out simple things to make them bigger than they are so it can have a task at hand to expend the energy on. And that's the problem. There's part of us that is great and as an asset to have when you have real problems to solve, will invent problems when you don't have those real problems, and will make solutions seem further than they really are. What I'm trying to reflect on and focused on in plain words is that things are simple. Most things are simpler than we make them. The problem with most of us is that we willingly like to complicate our life and then justify it and give beautiful reasons for why our life is so complicated. And the reality is that none of this is ever needed. None of us ever really need outside intervention to awaken us or tell us most things. You don't need me. The reality is that most of us already know 99% of everything that we need to be doing and are glaringly aware of the things that we are avoiding to do. Sure, someone might make you look at something in a different way or say something in a unique way that may have an impact on you in a different way than anything ever has before. But the reality is that you already know everything you need to be doing and everything you need to be knowing to at least get past the current gridlock in your life. And the chances are what you need to know to get past that step will present itself there. It's really not that complicated. But of course, why would you accept it to be this easy? And I can't tell you how many times I've heard people talk about their breakthroughs after so much reluctance and them almost circling around the solution, knowing it, but not considering it as a real thing because they say, could it really be this easy? No way. My problems require much more of a complicated solution. My business requires much more of an intricate offer. My product needs to be way more complicated. My relationship requires me to be overly creative and come up with constant, unique ways to show appreciation. But none of these things are the difference maker. It just really comes down to doing the simple things, doing more and more of the basics, and continue doing it while the other guys get tired. That doesn't sound so complicated, right? But you don't really want to believe this is all it takes, do you? And there's 1,000 real-life examples that come to mind in my own life and that I notice in the life of others that proves this fact, that we like to overcomplicate things. For me, overlooking red flags in people in the belief of better and ultimately complicating the expenditure of energy that could just be easy if I just paid attention to the red flags. Or me misattributing the causes to my problems to things outside of my control, things that I can't even do anything about, or something much bigger than me, when in fact, these same problems could be easily solved by doing and taking control of the most basic of things. Anyway, in the interest of not making this any more complicated than it needs to be, I'll stop here. The solution is simple, and you already know it. Is there anything I can say to make you do what you already know you should be doing, but aren't doing? Probably not. But at least you know that. And that's a start. And that's the end. Love you, family. See you in the next show.